You know those "what kind of witch are you" quizzes? The ones that tell you if you're a kitchen witch or a crystal witch or a cosmic witch. Well, I might just be like a no fun old fuddy duddy, but I kind of hate those labels. And without telling you what kind of witch you can be, because I would never, I would like to have a real chat with you about the sort of labels that might actually be more useful. Lorelei Black here from Blade and Broom, and I learned from 3 online quizzes that I'm an eclectic divination kitchen witch, which may or may not be true, in addition to being your favorite witchy aunt. I've got links down below, and you know that liking and subscribing helps channels you love to grow and produce better and better content, so thank you for all of the ways that you show support. My big disclaimer before we get started is that you can call yourself any dang thing you want, and it is absolutely no skin off my nose. I'm not here to proclaim the rightness or the wrongness of your craft or the labels you use to define it. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. What I am here to say is that some labels are not so very helpful, and some practices might not be witchcraft. Again, you can call it that if you insist. Neither I nor anyone else can stop you. But, I might not call it that, and you can't make me. Labels and terms can help us share and understand our own identities and also help us find like-minded souls whose labels intersect with our own. We need that on an anthropological and sociological level. We feel freer to be our most authentic selves when we know the aspects of ourselves are accepted by others. But labels have their issues as well. Some labels are given to us and are used to isolate, segregate, shame, deny rights and privileges, and even to do violence. And some labels just aren't useful. It's not that they're harmful per se, they're just unhelpful. I would like to posit to you that there are more helpful and less helpful ways to define your craft, if you are so inclined. The more helpful ways are labels that describe the sources, origin, and/or flavor of your craft practice. So at the top of pretty much every show for the last 2 years, I have said something like, we often talk about folkloric and traditional witchcraft here. The term folkloric points to the source material from which my own craft is drawn, and the term traditional gives a sense of the flavor of the rituals and learning style that I practice in. Other types of terms that are more helpful might include eclectic, Wiccan, goddess-based, reconstructionist, or any one of the gajillion terms that points to a specific tradition or cultural practice, like Gardnerian, Cochranite, Norse, Polish, etc. Lots and lots of folks have practices that are a synthesis of multiple things, and they often describe their craft with a couple of big influencers. American folkloric witchcraft, Thelemic Norse spaycraft, Hellenic revival pharmakeia. Yeah, I'd follow those Reddits. One of the things these terms, both the simple and compound version, have in common is that they all encompass more than just a singular piece of the practice. They're descriptive of the style of craft, and they leave the listener with the understanding that the witch does more than just one thing as a witch. The terms that are less helpful are honestly less helpful because they tend to narrow one's practice down to a pinpoint aspect, and they don't tell anyone much of anything. Let's go back to that list and quiz that I mentioned in the opening. It's specifically terms like crystal witch, augury witch, and cosmic witch that I find so limiting and unhelpful to describe a craft practice. In fact, if all you do is work with stones, I'm not inclined to think of that as witchcraft. I know lots of people of every religion who collect stones and are interested in their energetic properties. One of my cousins is super duper evangelical Christian, and she is way into stones, herbs, yoga, and natural living, all as expressions of her Christianity. That Christianity is both a belief and a practice for her, and the stones are just a piece of the whole puzzle. Gifts from Yod-Heh Vav-Heh for right living in her worldview. If you are extra into stones, what about that is pulling you to think of yourself as a crystal witch, as opposed to a crystal Christian or a crystal mystic? The same is true if you're an augury witch who only performs divination, or a cosmic witch whose sole focus is on astrology. If those are the onlyest bits of witch-adjacent magic or spirituality that you're into, maybe a term like psychic reader or astrologer is all you really need to define your practice. Hot take: not resonating with one of the dominant religions while still having a strong draw to a single aspect of alternative spirituality, like crystal work, divination, or stellar influences, does not ipso facto make one a witch. So what does make one a witch? I'm not actually trying to define that. Not for you, at least. I know what my own craft is. I know what witchcraft means to me. And I'd really encourage you to do the same thing for yourself, to come up with that definition for you. Witchcraft can and does look a little different from person to person, even among people in the same tradition or people who are walking similar paths. It doesn't have to be a religion or a spirituality, but it can be. When I personally think of what witchcraft is, I always come back to a handful of basic practices that are the core of the witchcraft that we've seen evidenced around the world throughout the ages. Divination and oracles, spirit work, trance and journey work, and spellcraft and magic. All of these can take a number of forms and involve lots of components, like planetary and stellar influences, herbs, stones, sigils, etc. The witch is a wise person who weaves these threads together. Maybe not all the threads all the time, but there's almost always more than one thread that they're working with. And that's all that I have to say about that for today. Tell me in the comments if you like, which labels that you have found most helpful for defining or describing your craft. I hope that you found today's chat thought-provoking. If so, please bless me with the magic of the like button and tell your witchy friends that good stuff's happening here at Blade and Broom. And if you'd like to learn more about how to practice traditional witchcraft, or just to keep up with my shenanigans, then download my free app, The Thread, at the link below and click on the news and notes for the freebies. I'll see you back here soon, probably next week, for more witchy goodness. Bye, friends.